드디어 지옥의 문이 열렸습니다. 2011 펩시 업앤다운 매치.
Alright, hello there ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the GSL Up and Down matches. I know that last K-pop video was called The Show Is Over. Indeed. I know that last video was called The Show Is Over, but the show is just beginning. We are here at the beginning of this day of the Up and Down matches, one of the most dramatic days in all of the GSL, as Doa likes to call it. And I am Moltrap. With me here is Doa. How's it going, Doa?
It's going good. Glad to be back here for another day of, like you said, what I call possibly the three most dramatic days in an entire season of GSL, because this is a day when people either go up or down in a match.
Yeah, most of the
time. That's how it is.
Exactly. I mean, most of the time, even if a player loses, they've got some kind of fallback. You know, if they lose in the round of 32, they're like, well, I've still got the up and down matches. But today, there is nothing else. It's either going up or going down. And here's the results from yesterday. A very quick wipeout win for Supernova and Linok. They won so hard that they didn't even have to play the last couple games.
Yeah, those guys crushed like one of those silly 16-ton weights you see in the cartoons, man.
That's
mean, their opponents had absolutely no chance. I mean, Slayer's Alicia was the only person to take a game, really, have anybody else. Today's group, though, is pretty interesting. We've got Lasura from the team IM, OGS MC, of course, the next Kirix, Check Prime.we, and NS Hoso Jakji. And a lot of people, you know, we were talking about this a little bit earlier today. Everyone's kind of expecting Lasura and MC to advance. I mean, let's just get that out of the way right now. They're clearly the favorites, but stranger things have happened. This is the GSL, man. I mean, people move up and down all the time.
Yeah, I was just tweeting about that, actually. And by the way, follow me on Twitter at Molchop. Doa is at DoaSC.
That's right.
And let us know who you think's going to win, actually, because I'm really curious kind of what people think. So far, the response I've gotten is people are like, yeah, you know what, Lasura and MC, they're probably going to win. Like, even though there's a possibility of upsets, they're probably going to win. But the one person that people seem to think has a chance is Jakji.
Yeah, I'd say he might. He's been pretty impressive. But
But it's funny that you mentioned like anything can happen, because actually someone tweeted at me, Zaltarax said that because Byun was knocking down with an 0-3, anything's possible.
I've played World of Warcraft with that guy, actually.
Really?
Yes, I have.
All right.
Look at that. It's I'm Lasura. There he is. He's going to be competing against OGSMC in Game 1. And it's very interesting kind of how that ended up happening, because a lot of people would expect that it would be like yesterday where it'd be these two guys at 3-0, but that is impossible, Moltrap.
Right.
One of these guys is going to get a loss right away, and that is really going to shake up this group.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because in a way, the winner, this is kind of a landmark match for this group, because these two being the favorites, whoever loses this game is going to be the one most likely to be that upset who gets knocked down.
Yeah,
because if you lose a game to, let's say Lasura loses to MC, and then gets a loss to Jakji, a surprise upset of Jakji, suddenly Lasura is 0-2, man.
Yeah, well, I feel like
anything can happen.
I feel like Lasura kind of ran into some bad luck in the round of 32 Code S this season. That's kind of why he's here. Here's Kirix. This guy, I mean, he's pretty explosive. We can call him that. I mean, he hasn't been too consistent. He's been around the GSL forever. Hopefully you got a chance to check out some of his older games back in the day and over the weekend when the VODs were free. He was one of the originators of that kind of high-economy Baneling bus style of play in GVT especially.
I mean, we call it Kirix style.
Yeah, exactly. It was called that for a long time. So this guy's got a chance of taking a game off absolutely anyone in the GSL. But, you know, he just can't win in, like, best of matches, I feel, you know? He's got that potential, but I don't know. And this guy right here, Check Prime, you didn't think too highly of him. I feel like he's on a bit of a resurgence, actually. I feel like he's doing better now than he was, you know, maybe a month or two ago.
Well, I feel like he is doing a little bit better, but I still feel like a little bit better than bad is still not that good.
Yeah.
I don't know. He hasn't been at the top level in a long time, I think. I'm not trying to call him like a bad player. He's not horrible, you know, but he's solid at best. And I just think he hasn't really accomplished a lot in a long time. I mean, you know, he's been in Code A for a while. He's been struggling in Code A. I mean, he's barely going to be in the round of 32 next season of Code A.
Hey, how did we only have 4 booths. How did they make room for Jakji?
I don't know, man.
There's some magic trickery going on here, Moltrap.
What the? I am actually...
It's like It's like we've
Really
got one of
confused.
those like rooms that they have in Hogwarts where if you really need it, it appears. It's like we need a 5th booth.
That's
so there it is.
strange.
Joxy gets to jump in there. And this guy, I really like this guy a lot. I feel like he's got a lot of potential. I don't know if he's ready for Codes yet. I would have to kind of side on the I don't think he's ready for Codes yet side. But
Yeah.
he could surprise us. You know, he's had a lot of good games lately. It's the up and down matches. It's going to be pretty crazy.
Certainly is.
Yeah.
It's gonna be very, very crazy. I like started being like, what the? How did they?
I'm like so disappointed I can't
How did
remember
they-
what that room is called. Room of Requirement. That's what it is. I think it is. I don't know. All the Harry Potter fans are like, no, it's wrong, but who knows?
I have no idea, man.
Oh, Snape. It's like instead of saying, oh, snap, you say, oh, Snape. Oh, that was the worst joke
Oh,
ever. I'm
Snape.
sorry. All right, so here's the thing. A
Tell
lot
us
of
the
people
thing,
might be
Noah.
pleased of is that there's not going to be any TVTs today. Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
All
only
you
one
TVT
Terran,
haters, you can
only
be happy about that.
Jockey. We're gonna have a
Yep.
ZVZ as the second game.
Yeah, well, ZVZ is can be interesting sometimes.
Yeah, actually, probably
Yep.
gonna have a couple ZVZs since there's
Yeah, it's
3
possible.
Zergs in the group, and I like ZVZ though.
It's it's a very exciting matchup. I mean, there's a lot of action from the beginning of the game, basically right through, unless they both decide to go, roaches and just kind of sit back and try to win with one big push. We'll have to see what happens. Looks
we
like
will see.
oh, Zelnaga Fortress for the first map. All right, interesting map for a ZVP. We'll have to see what Lucira has planned. Now, Lucira's a Zerg that against Protoss back in the day, and when I say back in the day, I mean back, maybe about 3 months ago or so, was doing a lot of that Roach Speedling all-in aggression. You remember that? Remember that in Old Trap?
I do. I mean, he was the first person to really break that sentry expand that Protosses were doing. Every Protoss
Yeah.
was just making like 10 sentries, no attack units, because sentries aren't real attack units, and getting
Not
away
anymore.
with getting an expansion off of it. No one was punishing him at all for it. And Lucira was like, wait, actually, if they only have sentries, I can just kill them.
Yeah.
And he did that a couple times to Alicia, I believe, was kind of the first time we saw that. And Protoss have been on their back foot ever since, but we're going to get into the first game here in just a moment. Who's going to take the first match and take a lead here at the GSL up and down matches?
I keep saying it. I think Lucira's hair gets lighter every time I see him. All right, down at the bottom of the map on Zelnaga Fortress, we have our Red Zerg player from the team Incredible Miracle. It is
I am Lucira.
Sierra. So going from being the finals of Codes last season down to the up and downs this season, it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride for this guy. We'll have to see if he can kind of pull it together against our Protoss player up at the top of the map in the blue from the team Old Generation StarCrafters. He is
Mojist MC.
so 2 GSL finalists in our first game of the day. How about that?
Yeah, and Lucira, like you were saying, he got knocked
Nope.
down to the up. I wish my boyfriend had Protoss like me.
What?
Matt, why you no sponsor me?
Well, Matt, you better get on that.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. Thanks to Pepsi, G-Skill, and Ole eBook for sponsoring the GSL.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Yep.
That was awesome of you.
Yeah. Buy you a drink sometime.
Oh,
Come
is he
to
gonna
Seoul,
get the
Korea.
hatchery? Wait, does he have money for a hatchery? I can't tell. I can tell on the
well,
other screen.
Pro being very, very annoying. You can see Lucira did throw down the pool there, so
Okay.
yeah, he does have a little bit of time. The probe's efforts are all in vain right now, Moletrap.
Well, I mean, sometimes that's what Zergs do is if they know they're not going to be able to plant that hatchery because the probe is there, they'll
yeah.
just go for the pool first instead. Especially on a map like this where your third is going to be a little bit farther away, so you can't just like, take a third instead of a natural.
Right.
But yeah, Lucira, he really, I mean, he had a bit of a slump, like a tiny little slump. He lost 4-0 to Nesty. That was a crushing defeat.
Mm-hmm.
He lost a game in the GSTL, so he wasn't doing too well. And then he got kind of cheesy losses in his Codes group, so that's kind of why he went down here. It's just, that's
Yeah.
really all it takes. It's just 2 losses.
Yeah,
2
pretty
losses
much.
and you're in the up and down matches, and he got those losses. But ever since then, he's been doing okay. He actually beat Jockji as part of an all kill in the GSTL, so he's been playing well lately.
Yeah, well, Jockji, another player we might see today, might even see a GSTL rematch between those two guys. And that would be interesting.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Not good for Jockchijo if he's already coming into this, with a loss. It's a little bit disheartening. I'm kind of expecting MC to play really safe. I mean, we've seen him kind of suffer in the past for playing a little bit too greedily. If you remember some of the last time, I should say, he went down to the up and down matches, he played really, really greedy against Polt and got knocked down.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
He got right back up though. But
he got knocked down, but he got up again.
Exactly.
Yep.
You're never gonna keep MC down.
That's right. It's Chumbawamba time.
Oh god. That song.
Sounds like you have a bad
probably
experience.
a lot of no. I'm just like probably a lot of our viewers don't even know that song.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. Some of them do. If they listened to pop music in America in the mid '90s, they would know that song.
That's what I'm saying. Is a lot of our viewers were like born in the mid '90s.
I don't know. Maybe.
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying it's actually like I was just realizing how old school that song is. Anyway, so we do have.
Old school.
What's that?
I said it's not old school. Stop calling it that.
It kind of is. We have to face it.
No.
We are old school, Doa. Sorry to break it to you.
Well.
So Lucira, by the way, he's only produced a few Zerglings just to chase that probe away and make sure that he could take his expansion. He's continued to drone up, so he's at 24 drones right now. He's got 2 queens going hardcore, starting to spread his creep, so he's really just getting his economy going. Again, same for MC. He expanded off just 1 gateway, just 1 sentry, actually, which is a little bit dangerous.
Lucira took a quick third, too. I think he kind of knows what's going on with that. So he did take a quick third.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, Protoss players have felt very safe doing that 1 gate expand and following it up with the Stargate, as you can see there. And Zergs a lot of times can take that third base and still, remain safe as long as they respond appropriately. Probably see an Evo Chamber and a couple spores from Lucira in the near future here, so pretty normal ZVP so far.
I hope we do, because here's the thing, if he goes for a Void Ray first, and we're going to find out in just a moment if he does go for a Void Ray as that Stargate completes, but if he does, it's going to be tough. Well, it depends on if he goes straight for the expansion or not, but if he goes and attacks the expansion, that third base, it's going to be really tough for him to defend it, because it's so far away, there's no creep, there's like, a veritable mile.
Well, that's kind of the idea.
Those two.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of times we do see the Protoss player just send that Void Ray right over to the third and try to force a cancel on that, or at least, do some damage to it, just because, like you said, again, the creep's not connecting it, takes Queens a while to get there, Spore Crawlers aren't going to be there quite yet, and Lucira actually not getting that early Evo Chamber. A little bit surprising to me since we see that so often now in ZVP. Yep, but it looks like this third may actually be in a little bit of trouble.
It might be. He does have time to get some spores up. Since the hatcheries just popped, he can start producing.
Oh, he actually made the Evo Chamber. I didn't even see it. Oops.
Oh, yeah.
My bad. Sorry, guys. There it is. It's right there. So obviously placed right next to the hatchery. That only someone who is watching Legends Fantastic Observing would miss. And, so 3 Spore Crawlers on the way. Should be fairly safe. Spore Crawler to third should be up in time.
Yeah, it'll be up in plenty of time. He's producing a queen over there as well, which is going to be able to help out as well. And really that Spore, depending on how he angles it, that Spore could be a problem, but without Phoenixes, the queen's going to be fine. Actually, there are Phoenixes on the map. Oh, he does have an angle, that's what I was thinking about.
Yep.
That he can attack, and there's the queen though, so that's going to...
Wow, he's just kind of giving each of those probes kind of like a little, or drones kind of a little Void Ray massage as they walk by. He actually only killed 1.
Void Ray massage.
Surprisingly, yeah, Void Ray massage, man. It's not very comfortable. It's like one of those massages where you're like, oh, it hurts, but I need it.
Yep.
It usually doesn't.
Usually,
kill you,
when
though.
you go to a massage parlor, they don't employ prismatic beams on you.
Well, you never know. Some of those new agey, massage parlors.
Now here's the thing. He's gonna pick up some drones and kill him. He can attack this hatchery, and the queen is gonna have our time. He's gotta have to kind of kite and stay next to that spore. Otherwise, the queen could get picked up out of range of that spore and just killed for free. So he's got to be very, very careful in his defense here.
Well, MC really hasn't done too much damage yet. Lucira has been defending well, but MC's been playing really smart, too. He hasn't been overcommitting to anything. Hasn't been letting his Void Rays take too much damage. Look at that, pulling it away. Just taking maybe 1 or 2 hits after the shields go away. So if MC can keep all these units alive, that's just that much more that Lucira's going to have to deal with a little bit later in the game.
Yeah, he has a lot of Phoenixes out now, though, so he's really, really going bullish on those Phoenixes. And, of course, he's just building up a ground army in the background. He's trying to force Hydras and then go into Colossus tech here. He's picking up that queen. And there's a lot of queens here, though. So they are going to be able to do a lot of damage to these air units.
Oh, and there's the Hydra Den just started now for Lucira. Losing a couple queens here and there, but yeah, he has so many queens. I almost was wondering if he was actually going to skip the Hydra Den. He was making so many queens, but
yeah, he was trying to. He didn't want to get forced into Hydra, so he was kind of trying to avoid that if possible and just go for some queens, some mass queens. But he's been forced into Hydras, and Robotic support base just completing actually at the same time as the Hydras Den. So,
well, Lucira's making an infestation pit as well too.
True.
So. We've seen a decent amount of Zergs go for Neural Parasite as well, which can be pretty good for handling Colossi sometimes. Of course,
and at the natural of MC, a lot of Zerglings coming in for an attack. The force fields were actually late, and his forces were not in the best position, so he does take a lot of damage, but holds it off pretty easily with that amount of Zealots.
Did he lose many sentries in that? I didn't see.
I think he lost a couple. I wasn't keeping track of that specifically, but he did lose a couple, I think.
All right. Not a whole lot, though. Both these guys playing very defensive this game, just poking here and there. Lucira gets a great scout of everything in MC's base. And, oh, those Zerglings getting a little bit suicidal there. Yep. Spire on the way as well for Lucira. He does, of course, see the Colossus tech, so he's going to want to make sure to have Corruptors out in time for that.
Actually,
getting his upgrades.
The units lost tab shows only 4 units lost this entire game for MC, actually. So
yeah,
he may not have lost any sentries after all. Maybe 1.
I think he may have lost like 1 or 2, but overall, you know, not a lot of losses suffered by really either player aside from those Zerglings. Oh, Hydras are out. That Void Ray gets insta-gibbed. And now Lucira can, you know, start to spread his creep, keep things a little bit safer. The air harass possibilities are definitely limited for MC. But, you know, again, with the Colossus tech on the way, one popping out just right now.
That's a lot of Zerglings.
Yep.
It looks like he's going to go for another attack. This is actually not a good idea if he goes in.
What the? I think MC's just kind of playing around with him a little bit. Lucira's kind of checking for the 3rd. You know, he wants to watch for that to go up. He's taking his own 4th as well. All right.
Yeah, and if he gets that 4th base up, well, MC's just kept to 2 bases. It's going to be pretty good for Lucira. Now, he does have 2 Colossus and a bunch of Zealots, so he can pretty much move out pretty easily if he wants to. And I'm really surprised, actually, that he's using his Phoenixes to kill just Zerglings.
Yeah, I do not know.
Their energy.
He's even uses it to pick up the Changeling. I think MC is just kind of playing around with Lucira right now. I mean, he's always been kind of a cocky player, and clearly using your energy to pick up Zerglings and Changelings is not a normal, effective strategy. It's not an effective use of the energy on those Phoenixes. So yeah, I think MC is kind of playing around with him at this point.
Well, he doesn't really have room to play exactly. He is. Oh, there's a queen that's going to go down, but there's a lot of Corruptors. The Spires pop.
Yep.
Those Phoenixes are not going to be long for this world once he engages, but...
such a vulnerable army to what MC has, though.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Here he goes. Lots of links trying to get the surround. The Corruptors should take down the Colossi fairly easily. Overlord's doing some vision blocking there, I guess, as well. Hydra's in the back doing a lot of damage, but the Zealots are getting in there, and there's just not enough roaches to tank. It looks like Lucira might be able to barely hold this off. The Corruptor's helping out quite a bit there. Yeah, and actually Lucira coming out of that pretty good.
Yeah, he actually, the Zerglings were the ones tanking. He had so many of them, it took a while for the Zealots to kill them, and the roaches were just sitting behind them, doing tons of damage, and he had so many Corruptors that they were able to take out the Colossi very quickly as well. The Phoenixes just didn't play much of a role in that battle, so now we have a little bit of a counterattack going on here from Lucira.
Yep, here come all the roaches, some Hydras there as well. And the DPS on those Hydras is so high. GG, there it is. And MC with that kind of one bad attack loses game 1 to I'm Lucira. There you go. I mean, if I had to guess out of the 2 of those players, I would probably peg MC as being a little bit more likely right now to go down to Code A, but still it'd be a bit of a shock.
Yeah.
But he's on his way.
Well, I mean, he's got 1 loss. And, you know, his next game, let me actually check where that went. There we go.
Yeah, the
MC's next game is going to be against Kyrix.
Yep.
So we'll see how he fares in that. I think he's going to do a little bit better against Kyrix.
We're going to see a lot of ZVPs today.
But remember, MC, he actually got knocked down to the up and down matches by a couple Terrans. He lost to Noblesse and to MVP. So if he's been having a little bit of trouble with his PVT lately, then maybe when he meets Jokchi a little bit later, that might be a problem for him. We're going to see.
Yeah.
But very interesting match. Well done by Lucira. Just had the perfect unit combination and barely came out ahead with all of his... He came out ahead with only his good units left alive. So he lost a ton of Zerglings, but he saved his Hydras. He saved half of his Roaches, and he had most of his Corruptors left. And that's what he needed to go for the counterattack.
It was a really interesting choice by Lucier, actually, to get that many Zerglings. You know, he's kind of saying, all right, I don't think I have time to really get out enough Roaches to really tank for this. I'm just going to make a lot of Zerglings, kind of buy time for my other more powerful units to do damage and things like that. It worked out really well.
Yeah.
Almost overmade Corruptors, but it ended up working okay.
Yeah. Worked out just fine. Just because, I mean, he had extra Corruptors left over at the end, but... I mean, well, that means you won. That means you won the battle if you had your Corruptors.
That means you've got plenty for Broodlords. It's okay to have a Corruptor Trust Fund, I guess. Just not too huge of one. You know, you want to invest, but invest wisely. You don't want to have like
having 6 Corruptors is handy for corrupting like Immortals and Archons and stuff, which is what MC had tried to throw together at the end there. So, all right, we're gonna get into the next game here in just a moment. And it's going to be Kyrix versus Czech. We're going to have a Zerg versus Zerg. And that's going to be pretty interesting.
Well, both of these guys kind of represent the old guard of Zerg in the GSL. I mean, they've both been around since pretty much the very beginning. And I haven't seen them ZVZ against each other for a long time. I don't know if I actually ever have. I'm trying to remember if they met up in some previous season. But Moltrap immediately goes to Czech.
I'm going to find out.
He's going to find out. That's right. He's the stats guy. But... yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
They have never played together in a tournament game.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Kyrix is really aggressive. Czech tends to be a little bit more defensive in ZVZ, so we might have kind of a clash of styles there as well. The map, I believe, is dual site, if I remember seeing that right. Let me double check that. Yeah, it actually is dual site. Yep. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, now Kyrix... neither of these players are really known for their Zerg versus Zerg, actually. And there they are right here in front of us.
Yeah.
Of course, Czech wearing his blue Prime shirt with the red Prime logo on it on the right. Kyrix, member of Zenix, is on the left side of your screen.
And
dual site is named after Czech because he's got his glasses on.
Keyboard pink?
That's baller, man.
It could just be like a trick of the light or something.
I think it is. I think I remember noticing that before, too.
Yeah. It looks pink, though. That'd be cool, though. I don't know. It's just like a bright pink keyboard.
It's awesome.
People used to like spray paint their Xbox controllers. I don't know. Maybe they do it to keyboards, too. Not a bad idea.
All right. Czech versus Kyrix. Battle of the old school Zergs. Both these guys have been around for a long time. They've never met before. This is their first time playing against each other. Both want to win. Let's find out who's going to take the game.
Oh, we had pause at the start of that game. It looks like Czech is going to need to check some of his settings. We're going to have to wait. I know. We're going to have to wait for Mo ZVZ action here at the GSL. I really want to know what exactly they're saying in that song. I don't actually know. I don't know. No, Moltra. That song, man. I don't know.
Maybe they're saying do.
Maybe. It's like the Homer Simpson song. They're like, do. What do you do? There's like nothing funny you can say about that song. It's just really repetitive.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it looks like Czech needs to set up his hotkeys. That's what it is.
Set up his hotkeys.
Magic Voice, just let us know.
It's funny how I'm surprised people don't check that immediately, actually, when they start up.
Yeah.
When they get their stuff set up. I've heard that like a lot lately. People talking about, I lost the first game because I didn't set up my hotkeys right. Like I think even like Yellow in the Code A qualifiers, like he lost the first game of one of his series because he didn't have his hotkey set up
Yellow
beforehand, and so he lost the first game. He came back and won the next 2 games, but that's just kind of funny.
Hey, we just get more seasons of Project A this way.
That's right.
That's fine. I like that show, man. It's fine with me.
That would have been a letdown if he'd just gotten into Code A in 1 month. Would have been like,
so
man.
Short. Yeah, it would have totally spoiled the end of the series too. It's like, well, we know how this ends now. I don't know.
Anyway,
so maybe he'll get in eventually.
So I'm trying to think about these players. I don't remember having seen Czech plays ZVZ. I mean, I'm sure I have.
I've seen him
But
do
Kirix,
some ZVZ.
I have this impression that he has kind of a cheesy style. Like he usually goes like Ling Baneling, like fast Banelings most of the time. Does that ring a bell? Am I remember that correctly?
I'm looking off into space because I'm trying to remember. And
You're looking at the Pepsi Next poster.
That's right. I'm looking at the Pepsi Next poster.
Thanks again to Pepsi, by the way.
Yeah, but no, I believe I remember Kirix playing against Lucira actually, and trying to go for the 9 pool on that. Trying to basically just all in him, and I remember Lucira like miraculously defending it. And Kirix does play a ZVZ like that. He doesn't always do something like a 9 pool, but he does quite often do an earlier pool. He does do a lot of aggression. He kind of plays ZVZ like he plays all his other matchups, really aggressive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And Check Prime's kind of the opposite.
Likes to have early games, doesn't like to go into the late... Seems to not really like to get into the late game where you have, mass roaches and moving on into infestors and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
looks like we're going to have to actually restart the game.
We're going to have to restart the game.
Check left the game. Well, you know what? Sometimes it's the vehicle of esports technology, and sometimes, in this case, it's pilot error. That's what it can be sometimes too. Check just basically put the keys in the ignition and then drove the vehicle of esports technology right into a tree. So hopefully we'll be able to salvage that.
I learned to drive stick shift when I was living in Ireland briefly.
Oh yeah,
for a few months, and in Ireland they drive on the left side of the road, and I was used to driving on the right side of the road, and so the everything in the cars in Ireland are actually switched. Like the driver's seat isn't on the left side; it's on the right side.
Right.
And so I actually bought a car when I was there, and I was talking to this guy who was helping me out, and I asked him. I realized before I got in the car, I was like, wait, so is the gas still on the right and the clutch on the left, or is that reversed here too? And he's like,
that's a good.
He face palmed and he's like, all right, if you're asking me that, maybe you shouldn't be getting in this car.
I don't know.
You have insurance, right?
The roads of Ireland became very dangerous for a short while. I have a feeling.
I almost died a couple times on the roads of Ireland.
Really?
Actually, yeah. One time I was trying to pass this tractor because tractors just drive on the normal roads.
Well, yeah, that's how it is.
And so they're going 10 miles an hour, and I tried to pass him, and this big truck came around the next turn, and I had to
Oh, you're one of those people.
No,
I see how it is.
No, it was dumb. It was dumb. Admittedly, it was dumb. I just didn't think there would be anyone else around on the road that time. I never did anything like that again.
That's good.
The other time I almost died was on a one-lane road. A lot of the roads in Ireland are one-lane roads, especially out in the country or whatever. And I was going up a hill on a one-lane road, and luckily I actually saw the glimmer of the headlights of the oncoming car coming up over the top of the hill and was able to swerve over to the side before it crested the hill.
Oh, that's
Otherwise, I probably would have had a head-on collision and just died. If it had been daytime, I wouldn't have seen it coming. I probably would have just died.
You are such a city boy, Moletrap. I don't know.
Because I almost died in a car crash?
No, because just
on a one-lane road?
I don't know. I grew up in the country, right, on gravel roads and all this, and that's what you look for. You're driving down the narrow gravel road, you look for that headlight stuff, you move over. Anyone who lives out in the country, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, they weren't looking. I had to dodge.
Yeah, that's how it is, too, a lot of times. You have to be the one to look because the other guy, is probably not going to be looking. It's dangerous sometimes, but, yep.
See, in the city, you just have to worry about some kid texting on their cell phone, not paying attention.
Oh, you have to worry about that in the country, too. Really? But usually they just drive off the road themselves. They don't hit other people. So, yeah. Which is actually really sad. It's not something to, I don't know. We're not joking about it or anything like that. Don't text and drive. Let's watch some StarCraft 2 instead.